Good Friday morning. Welcome back to Friday Coffee Talks. We're here for episode number 42. It's Veterans Day this week, the birthday of the Marine Corps on Wednesday. So thank you to all of our veterans for your sacrifice, for your service. Thank you for being there and allowing us to have the freedoms that we do in this great country. Thank you all for your service. With that in mind, I have a great interview for you today. So please enjoy my conversation with my good friend, Kenny James. Welcome back to Friday Coffee Talks. We are joined today by a Marine, an educator, a tech salesman, a DJ, and just so happens to be the best manager I've ever had. It's Kenny James. Welcome to the show, Kenny. It's good to have you, man.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Kenny and I go way back. We worked together at basically every job I've ever had. And it's been a fantastic ride with you, Kenny. So we're glad to have you on the show today.
I really appreciate the invite and being here. Really do.
It's very appropriate too, because we happen to be recording this on the Marine's birthday. Veterans Day is this week, and I couldn't think of anybody better to represent the Marines and all of our nation's great military as you, Kenny. So thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you. This is an honor.
Well, why don't we jump right in? For the viewers at home, give us a kind of a background on you, catch us up on how you got to where you are.
Wow. I don't know if you got enough time, Connor. I am one of those guys. I grew up in New York City, so I was one of those guys that loved at a very early age, was a reader, right? Was one of those guys that just jumped into, Jane and Sam books, right? And so my mother had me reading everything, including all of the manuals that she didn't want to deal with when putting together coffee tables and all kinds of stuff. And so I learned at an early age how to put stuff together. So she bought me stuff like erector sets and Lego and all the Matchbox car race tracks where you had to snap stuff together. And she was going to read the directions. That was all due to me. And what that did was it got me into learning how to put things in order and going step by step. And I think that drove all the way through my early technology days. So I don't know if you can call it technology, but I was in a typewriter class in junior high school, which was the technology of that day.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
And then that drove me going to a specialized high school in New York that was all about computer and accounting. And so one of my classes was COBOL, and loved to get on the IBM System 3 and with all the teletype, not teletype, but the punch cards and collating cards and all that. And that got me into the love of programming and computers. I said, this is where I was going to be for the rest of my life. And then I saw the IBM repair guy come in and work on the IBM System 3, blue suit, white shirt, wingtip shoes with the cart of tools. And I said, that is a guy that not only is looking sharp, but he knows how to do something. And I said, that's where I want to be. And
so
then
instructions and blue suits are the two things.
Yes, exactly.
That's awesome.
And that drove me through my entire career in the Marine Corps when I joined in '85 for teletype repair. And when I joined for teletype repair, again, going back to my typewriter days, the teletype repair, that when I signed up, they closed it. They closed the MOS, or the job function, when I got there. And they said, well, you can just pick anything that you want. I said, well, I don't know anything else. So just give me the longest title on the page. And and it was a Tactical Air Operations Control Central Technician.
Okay.
Yeah, right. I said, yeah, sign me up. And what that happened to be was a mobile aircraft control unit that actually controlled aircraft, the F-18s in the Marine Corps, and it controlled them out in the field. And I learned how to be the technician on that. And that sent me, that was exactly what I wanted to be. That was electronics and flip flops and OR gates, and that was it. And then I got out, got a degree after about 7 years of the Marine Corps. Got out of the Marine Corps, got a degree at DeVry Institute and then DeVry University, and IBM picked me up, and I never looked back. And it's been either in the field repairing machines or teaching or now selling, and actually making my selling job a teaching job. So
Yeah.
it's how I got it. It's all about the blue suits and the typewriters, I guess. I don't.
That's right.
Yep.
So we worked at IBM together, and we were
Yep.
both actually part of the divestiture over to Lenovo. So
Yep.
I failed to mention that at the beginning, but director of channel technical sales at Lenovo currently.
Right.
Obviously, I think the technology transitions over pretty well from your past experience in the military to now. But how do you feel that your military experience prepared you for your sales role currently?
So it gave me the foundation of understanding, right? I mean, when I look at everything that I learned in the Marine Corps, in my years in the service, it was all about let me go back. Let me just say that the equipment that I worked on in the Marine Corps was so old. It was designed in the 50s. It was built in the 60s. It was used at the end of the 60s into the 70s for Vietnam
Wow.
through Desert Storm. Okay. Now
Yeah.
we're talking about equipment that was designed in the 60s. So we're talking about no integrated chipsets.
Mm-hmm.
This is all AND gates and OR gates that were strung together by wire and interface cards. So it was like a big Lego set. Power supplies in the whole nine. But I will tell you that everything that I learned, how to troubleshoot using oscilloscopes and oscilloscopes and frequency injectors and just learning how to rerun cable, all happened to be the foundation of everything that I'm doing. So the power supplies we worked on, there were minus 30 and plus 30. We're talking about telco type stuff we're doing today. The hard drives, the drives that we use today, I can go back to the Marine Corps and we were using drum technology. So all of that was SSD type stuff. We did crypto, which is today data management or data encryption, data at rest, encryption at rest. We had all of the mobile units that we worked on, that I worked on in the Marine Corps, had another unit or another box that other folks were in, and that was a redundant system, high availability. So all of this gave me a foundation of not even second guessing where my training came from. It all kind of gave me the foundation to understand. Even the training exercises that we did this training exercise in Chilpo Beach, Korea, where we took all the units out there and as a joint exercise, and we call it a weapons training exercise, and we call it WTI or WTE, and it was essentially a POC. You had to set everything up and demo it for all of the execs or the commanding officers coming in, and they had to see it in operation. And we were controlling real aircraft, and we were communicating back and forth to the intercepts and the enemies. But all of that was a POC, things that we do today. So everything gave me a foundation. Sure. Yep.
It's fascinating to me that the nuts and bolts and the specific how of everything that you're just talking about is drastically different today, but the general concepts and even a lot of the terms have not changed one bit to
Right.
the super high performance computing things that we're talking about with customers today. It's fascinating.
Yep.
Man. So with that, obviously you have a background as a technologist, which is incredible and stellar, and your resume speaks for itself. But I think beyond that, on the sales side of things, you have to know your stuff. You have to be capable of having those technical conversations, but you also have to be personable. And with you, especially in the past, whether it's conversations about burger condiments or making people come outside of a meeting to watch the silly little car that I rented, you can turn a meeting personable and memorable for people better than just about anybody I've ever known. So how do you think that skill, how do you think you've adapted that skill to apply to customer interactions and things like that?
You know, I think about that Fiat that we had to ride in. I really do. That was an experience. Um, but it all goes back to my teaching days. My teaching days when I got to IBM and I was a CE in the field, and I got the opportunity to teach Lotus Notes. Of all things, I had to teach
Lotus
Lotus
Notes.
Notes.
Wow.
And it was an experiment. They wanted somebody out of the field to show other techs how, this new email system was going to run. And I didn't know anything about teaching. I just knew I knew what I was doing with the email system. It was fun. And so that teaching got to be my jump off point into the realm of learning people.
Okay.
The first instructor teacher that I had was a guy named Gilmer. Um, and he was teaching for years before I even got there. But his dad was a preacher from West Virginia. And so Rocky wasn't a preacher. Lord knows he wasn't a preacher, but he had this voice, and this resounding voice that got you mesmerized by what he was saying. And then once he drew you in, he got you. He met you where you were and was able to get that get his message across by just the intonation and the variables, and then just the whole picture, controlling it. And I mimicked everything that Rocky did. Just kind of learned how to work the room, as they say,
Mm-hmm.
have a controlled environment. But the thing that I did a little bit different was I used laughter. I love to laugh. I have fun. And what we used to do was, when I remember teaching RAID theory, right? Teaching what RAID was. And I used to hang signs around people's necks as they were the drives, and used to make them sit down on the stage and say, okay, now you're a defunct drive. Now where's the data? And they used to pass cards around. And that got them to remember it. So I didn't have the voice like Rocky, but we played games. We did Jeopardy. We played Price is Right. We had people coming down the aisle. We would give away, all kinds of but that was the way that I learned how to interact and be able to be personable and still know my craft, but be able to get that point across.
Yeah. It's such a huge thing. And I think it's lost on especially new sellers as they come into the role.
Mm-hmm.
And I was that way. I was a young guy early in my career, and you want to build that credibility fast. And so I think a lot of folks, their initial inclination is to they get into a meeting and they want to seem competent. And so it's this race to just show how much you know. They talk about as much detail, and as the term
Right.
speeds and feeds is just thrown out all over the place to talk about all these numbers and things. And it's less about being an advocate or an advisor, and it's more about just, hey, let me show you all this stuff that I learned.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, no, I mean, playing games, making it fun, making people smile, it's huge. It's you can't put a price tag on that, especially in interactions with customers.
Right. One of the leadership traits in the Marine Corps is know yourself and seek self-improvement. That introspection piece, if you really take that to heart, you will find out, you do the inventory of who you are and what you like to do, and what you will stand for and what you won't stand for. And that gets you to exacerbate and accelerate the things that you do like to do. I like to talk. I like to interact. I like to teach. So I make every job a teaching job. You're right. When you're young, you try to get in, and you try to baffle everybody with the knowledge that you have. And what I've learned in sales after the teaching job was over, I moved into sales, and I swore to myself that I would never get into sales. I said, I'm not a sales guy. I'm not that guy that can sell you a used car knowing that there's something wrong with it, right? I'm not that guy. But I can tell you about the product. I can tell you what the benefits are. I can tell you the things that I like that makes it personable for me. And if you happen to get along with that message, that's great. If not, there might be something else out there for you. But that was my niche. And I remember the guy that and we both know him, Tony Rodriguero, who hired me.
Yep.
Was the one that said, okay, you don't have to sell like everybody else. You can sell in your vein. And that did it for me. And that is the piece that even now when I mentor some of the newer guys coming in, slow down. Selling is more about listening than talking.
Yep.
And once you understand what their problem and what the concerns are, you can then address those systematically and logically. And that's what a tech guy does.
Right. It's the old cliche of you have 2 ears and 1 mouth. Use them in that ratio.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
So speaking of making things fun, you're a guy that's big on having fun, whether that's at work or not at work. So
oh yeah,
talk me through some of the out of work hobbies that you have, because you have quite a few of them.
I don't know if we have enough time. You know, I was somebody asked me that last week on what my hobbies are, and I've got a lot of friends, and their hobbies are almost my hobbies, right? So right. I've got a friend that likes raspberry pies. I am now a Raspberry Pi tinkerer, right? I go into these Desk Pi Pros and trying to do some programming that way. So I still do a lot of computing kind of stuff on the side. But I also like to cook. I like to smoke meats.
Those are different kinds of Raspberry Pis.
Yeah, Raspberry Pis. We're talking about protein meats, right? So I like to smoke briskets. I've got a smoker.
All right.
I got a couple of smokers at the house.
Now, hold on. Have you developed your own rub, or are you using other people's?
I developed my own rub.
Of course,
how dare you? How dare you?
Excuse me. Sorry.
Yeah. So in my backyard, I've got my own little herb garden. Okay. So I grow my thyme, my oregano. What else I got back there? I've got my peppers, sweet and hot. So I make my own hot sauce and you know, oh yeah. So I've got, so from that and my own rubs, the briskets are on point. I do a lot of fried turkeys over the holiday.
It's time for those again.
I'm doing my own smoked sausages. Yeah, the smoked sausages are probably to die for. And now I just bought a new smoker. Yeah, I just got it this week. It's a La Caja China. It's a whole hog smoker.
Oh my gosh.
So now I'm getting into whole hog smoke. We're going to do one for me and my brother-in-laws are going to do one for Thanksgiving. So we're going to do it Caribbean style. So the oregano, the sour orange, we're going to inject the hams in the butt, and it just, oh yeah, we're going to do it up.
Sorry, Mom and Dad, I'm going to Kenny's house for Thanksgiving.
but then I make my own jelly. We had James Jellies and Jams was
that's a good
company
name.
That me and my daughter were going on. And then I also have the music thing, right? I still DJ on the side.
Sure.
I call myself a retired DJ, but I'm more like an emergency DJ. If you're in dire straits and need a DJ and you can't find one, I'm gonna charge you. But but I can fit the bill, right? I don't want to DJ out there. I don't do it for money anymore, but I can. So I do more record store hopping and do some collecting and that type of stuff. But most of the time, me and my daughter now are teaching her how to DJ. It's her first year in college.
Oh, no way.
I'm teaching her how to DJ. Yeah.
Passing along. That's cool.
Yep.
Now you say collecting. You're underselling the collecting. How many records do you have?
Why you want to call me out like that? So I just did a count about a month ago. I'm at 37,400. Yeah, that's in the crates. I have no idea how many I have in storage.
Gosh. Oh, you need a second house for all your records.
It yeah, I better not say it too loud. My wife may come down here and start fussing.
Sorry.
But yeah. Yeah,
Oh my gosh. Wow. Wow. That
yeah.
is quite a collection. So we've talked a lot about your background. Let's talk about what you've done since you started in technology with IBM and now Lenovo. We've, you had a lot of influence from your background. How do you think you've developed since then? What do you think are some of the most important things that you've added to your repertoire since you've been over on the technology sales side?
So that's an interesting question because you never stop growing.
Sure.
And so one of the things that I think that I've grown, and I've read a lot of books, and I try to assimilate a lot of things, is, as you go from what we have as an individual contributor into management, you hope that you are managing well. What I think that I've developed is not managing, but leading. I try not to manage. I don't want to be the manager. I don't want to manage day-to-day tasks. I don't care what you do with your activities. You know me.
Right.
I'm not trying to tell you how to do your job, because I've made my job a teaching job, right? That's not the when I look on the job posting for the position I have, it doesn't say anything about teaching, but does say about leading. And so I've assimilated the leading, and I think I've developed that core muscle, and I've exercised it well, both through the good and the bad. Right? There's some bad things you got to do in the world of leadership, but you do. I think I've assimilated it well, and still growing. Right? I'm still learning how to. In the Marine Corps, for instance, one of my big mentoring items is always one up, one down. Right? I love to say that,
Okay.
because I can only manage to one person up and to one person down, or one group down. When I start to manage to my manager's manager, things go awry, because now I'm not giving my manager what he's looking for. And I try to mentor the folks below that they have to manage one up. When they start to manage to a peer or my one up, then things get muddy. So just learning how to lead and then how to mentor, because those are two different muscles as well. Um, and trying to listen to what it is that each rep or tech is trying to do, and trying to get out of the role, and how do we map to get there. I think that's one of the biggest things that I've learned and try to put in action.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. And I think that's another big thing. And one great thing I've learned about you, Kenny, too, is that you're a perfect example of it. Is that you've had a long, successful career, and it's not just about making yourself better and advancing yourself and your career. You always are reaching back for people
Hmm.
on the team, people who are kind of maybe just getting going. And for you, it's not about. And I think that's a big leadership quality too. It's not unique to you. You just happen to do it very well, where you can make yourself better and you can make yourself more successful while also making the people around you successful,
Yeah.
which is something, I think it's lost in sales a lot. It tends to be a cutthroat business where
Yeah.
people kind of view it as a zero sum game of, if I'm going to win, I have to take you down. And
Yeah.
I don't think it has to be that way.
It doesn't, especially in tech sales. The tech sales community is so small as it is, because for you got the two folks, right? You have the one that you know gains the expertise and then moves on to the next role. Then you have that one that started from the bottom, and they just don't leave, and they just grab everything within there. Um, and when they do move around from company to company, it's usually in the same circles, right?
Right. Right.
If you're in the big box companies, you usually move around to other big box companies. If you're in the smaller realm, you usually move around in smaller realms. Um, and so in tech sales, and that was one of the things one of my the newest one of the newer guys on my team said. He came from another big box company. He said, Kenny, I really have to get used to this team. You guys are really here to really help me versus letting me flounder. I thought I had to learn all this on my own. I said, listen, I'm tied to your success. I'm not going to let you flounder, and the rest of the team isn't either. Regardless of how competitive it is, we all are trying to move up. And I'm not. I don't think that I've made the team a group of Marines where we we don't leave any Marines behind, but I think we live by that code, right? Is that we're all stronger by everybody on the team, and that we have to bridge that gap together.
Yeah, absolutely. There's nothing worse to me than, well, I don't know. One of the things I don't like the most is when you ask somebody a question, they go, that's not my job.
Right.
So,
Right.
can't stand it. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Get that guy out of here.
All right, Kenny. Well, as is our custom around here, we're on Friday Coffee Talks. So when you're out at a coffee shop, maybe you left a record store with your daughter, maybe you're out at the butcher shop getting some new brisket or something, swing by the coffee shop. What is the go-to coffee order?
So my daughter will probably kill me because she is one of those Starbucks nerds. She loves Starbucks, right? I don't know that I can get Starbucks. I like right now I'm an old school coffee holic.
Okay.
I am right now drinking Javalia,
Yeah.
right? Which is run of the mill stuff.
Yeah, it's good.
But I will go and reach back and get chock full of nuts.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
I love chock full of nuts. I don't know what it is about chock full of nuts. And I remember I grew up in the 60s and 70s. I remember in New York where they used to have corner coffee shops and they were chock full of nuts all over New York. So my sister just sent me some Sanka.
Okay.
No, no, that was
Senka?
pretty bad.
Oh, I don't
Yeah,
know Senka.
yeah, that was pretty bad. It was that's old school coffee, but
Okay.
it wasn't going for it. Yeah. So really some of the old school stuff. Maxwell House,
Sure.
Folgers, chock full of nuts is my go-to.
Chock full of nuts for me always reminds me of walking into my grandfather's workshop, because he had bunches of chock full of nuts cans were full of nuts and screws and stuff. It was never coffee.
Yeah. Yeah. I got two of them things sitting over there now. Yep.
There you go.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well,
Yep.
Kenny, thanks so much for joining us. Most importantly, thank you for your service.
Yep.
Just
Very
a
welcome.
fantastic representative of the military community and the Marines in particular. And thanks for sharing some of your wisdom here with us today.
Yeah, you're very welcome. I enjoyed it
All
thoroughly.
right. Cheers. We'll catch you guys next time.
Cheers. All right. Bye-bye.